guys, welcome to Drake the Hyena. We're reading a couple of short ones today. The first is Return to Hyrule. Nintendo. That is the name I grew up with. I had really cruel parents. I changed.
His last name was Chalmers.
I changed.
Super Nintendo.
And the first game I played was Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Me, being only 3 at the time, jumped with joy as I was taught how to play. And was so into it.
It's been a long time since I was 3. Do you have the comprehension to play a fucking Legend of Zelda game?
I did. I played Vidya as a 3-year-old, but
Same.
not like that. Do you know
I played Sonic.
Yeah.
And Castle of Illusion.
It was shit like Sega Mega Drive. Yeah.
Shit where you don't need to figure out the puzzle or how to play.
Yeah. It was literally like run quickly to the other side of the screen.
Yeah, not being funny. Scarlett was shit at video games when she was 3 years old, so. No fucking way you teaching a kid how to play.
Is she
Ocarina
still shit
of
at
Time.
video games?
She's getting better, you know.
Is that like
her YouTube channel was rubbish.
Is that like an apple not falling far from the tree?
Yeah, it's
Are you a bit on
it's
par?
hereditary, yeah. My shit gameplay just gets passed down the generations. Might miss her children though. Who knows?
It goes back 17 generations.
What?
The first.
It's
the first gamer in my family.
There's a photograph of
Adolf.
my great grandfather. It's just staring
Angus McMitchell.
staring contemplatively at a chessboard that is on fire.
Ah, yes.
Like, what am I supposed to do? Move the queen into the fire.
That's not.
Every move! It's all on fire!
That's not really panned out. It's just like, wow. Wow. I put the queen in the fire and now the piece is gone.
Mitchell.
I was supposed to know. I was just supposed to know to not light the pieces on
Why
fire.
am I now that guy? What's his name? Darkside Phil. Why am I now him? Why is my past generations him?
I've told you for so many times, you can move the rooks, but they're castles. You can't move a castle. Oh, for God's sake! Why do we have some priests on the board? What are they gonna do?
What's this been recording going on for like fucking 5 seconds? How? How did we derail this much?
I see the horse. Where's the knight on the horse?
So to be clear, we haven't seen each other in a while.
Yeah.
So like,
It's been built up.
yeah, this is just all the fucking bollocks that's just been building up in the back of our heads. That I even had I was so into it that I even had my parents rush to the store to get me Master Quest for the GameCube.
There ain't no 3-year-old playing Master Quest on the fucking GameCube.
Also, I don't think you could get Master Quest in stores, because I'm pretty sure, because I had Master Quest, and it came with like a pre-ordered version of Wind Waker. I don't think you could get it in shops, or at the very least, it was like the first release of Wind Waker.
Yeah.
So you're rushing to the store to get Wind Waker. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the bonus disc. Sure, there were plenty of other games that I played. My second favourite being Super Smash Brothers. But Loz was my game to play. I spent countless hours doing everything possible.
And I still couldn't find the Kokiri sword.
Until there was nothing left. I felt broken inside. Thankfully, it didn't last long, as the age of 7th gen console was on the rise, and my parents brought me a Wii. Then, an Xbox 360. I played with my Wii a lot. So
It never stops being funny. Fuck you, Japan. You have terrible naming sense.
So we're just gonna push this one out there in case you didn't know. Wii kind of sounds like it should mean penis.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
At the very least, it often means urine.
Mm-hmm.
So you could mean I'm masturbating or I'm splashing around in perhaps a paddling pool full of urine. There you are. Let's get all the laughs out now.
A few years later, I got into scat real.
Spending hours upon hours of playing Twilight Princess, but when the Xbox 360 entered my home, I started to think that Nintendo itself was for kids and girls who don't game.
Did he play one game of Call of Duty online? Like,
At this age, how old were we at this age? Like 7.
Yeah.
So my eyes were open to a whole new world of slurs.
yeah.
And teabagging.
The Wii still stayed with me through my 4 years overseas, but the GameCube was broken before my first move, and the N64 was packed away.
Wait, how'd you break a GameCube? Those things are basically indestructible.
I know.
When I returned just a few months ago, I had found the N64, but most of its games were gone. To the great game vanishing event from that other Legend of Zelda story.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Spreading.
Maybe it's the same
I
writer.
could see like Jacob's copy of Shadow Man just slowly fading out.
It's like Thanos Snap, but just for Nintendo 64 games. And they just left all the shite. It's like, oh, yay, I'm gonna play The Rally 64.
What bits of your fucking mind you have to go through to get
Well,
to
so,
that
like,
V-Rally?
going through a mental library of all like the
boy.
Nintendo 64 games. No, good.
All
Like,
the good games have been snapped away. It's like, what are you gonna? I'm gonna play the Nintendo 64. All right, it's time. It's just me and you now, Mr. Buck Bumble.
Oh, Earthworm Jim 3D.
Oh boy.
We already suspected the movers, as they had taken other things. But what's done is done. I wanted
to spin off now into be like a court case against the moving company that stole shit.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time still there. And as soon as got back from our storage unit,
Perfect.
I plugged the N64 in and popped in Legend of Zelda.
I'm so glad they didn't use plopped as a sort of verb.
Well, we've already talked about Wii, so yeah.
Yeah.
The game started normally and was running smooth. I started a new profile and named it Wyatt, my name.
Thought your name was Nintendo.
No, he's changed it now because now he's a man.
I suppose, yeah.
Like as a boy, he was known as Nintendo. Now he's named himself after a cowboy. The first cutscenes were fine. Just a few things were wrong, so they weren't fine. Like text appearing at weird intervals or missing textures. But it was fine.
Okay.
Just fine.
What
No, this is
re-
fine. The house is not fire.
Oh my god! What really craped me out?
Great.
Yeah, it's written craped, so I'm picturing it just being like flattened by a steamroller and rolled into some sort of French pancake.
So we really prank caked this up, did we?
What really craped me out was the fact that the whole world had this ominous feeling to it, as there was no background music, like there was something amiss.
So the world's craped him out. So like there's just like fruit and whipped cream in the background.
So you just quick, get the lemon.
I eventually got to the part in which you start playing, but I was shocked to see Link's house. It had weird writing on the wall in what I thought was the wings of the fairies.
What?
It had weird writing on the wall in what I thought was the wings of the fairies. No,
Do you mean like
The fairy,
words
like they
were
plucked off the
spelled
fairy
out?
wings and
and spelled words out, yeah.
There's better ways of phrasing that.
It's just written in fairy wings. It doesn't make any sense.
with, as opposed to with the fairies.
It seemed as if someone had taken them and ripped their wings off. So someone had taken the wings and ripped the wings off them.
I
Just-
see.
Ugh, just an irritating way of writing.
Just write better.
Yeah,
Yes.
basically. My
Well,
fear,
I mean, if they wrote better, we'll be out of a job.
True.
my fear was confirmed as what seemed like a weak and helpless Navi entered the room. Her wings had holes in them. Speed holes so she could fly faster. And she was not her original blue, rather black with a red outline. How do you know it was Navi then? The sequence in which Link wakes up is also messed up. Instead of being the funny and obnoxious wake-up call, it was replaced by Navi saying, "Wake up! Wake up, you idiot! Great Deku is not pleased with your absence!" Link then jumped up and started rolling around on his own.
And to speed us out. It's one of those, like, yeah, the cartridge, you know, you do it and you can just get constantly rolling.
Oh, cartridge toy. I love that shit.
I noticed a pot and decided to break it. What came out was a group of fairies, just lying there. And when I tried to go near them, a message would appear saying,
Fuck off!
You know what? That's the message that's going to be now. Why did you do this? Why did you let him win?
I ran outside and was greeted by a sad-looking Saria, who didn't say anything, but stared at me before walking away. I then jumped down from the house and dashed to the Deku Tree. When I got there, Mido wasn't there to block me. I proceeded without sword and shield. When I got to the Deku Tree, I noticed his appearance had changed. His mouth was open already, and his bark was the same colour it turns after he dies. The ground then shook and the music that plays at the end of a boss queued up. The tree said nothing for about 5 minutes.
I just stood
And
there.
I didn't just reset the game.
We'll just talk. Toby, you weren't here for that one. We'll just talk about the other one where like the person's just running up a staircase for 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Then he spoke, saying,
Wyatt, your absence is insolence. Why did you leave? For what? For who? Whom?
The screen then went white and I was ported back into my home.
From this distance, it
was-
looks like porked.
Also,
A very, very different story.
but also ported doesn't make sense.
Teleported,
I
but
was ported
I mean,
back
like-
into my home.
why not say teleported?
Yeah.
Like, look, what? Are you in a hurry?
Put-
Are you Jacob and like shortening words?
So
What?
he was playing the N64 version, then he suddenly was playing the GameCube version. Is that what
was
happened?
Put through the same thing. Only this time, instead of going to the tree, I dashed out of the forest. When I left, like going to the Great Deku Tree, no one was there to stop me. But I was asked a question before leaving.
Was it that fucking owl?
Why leave? Do you have to go now? Why leave before you say goodbye? The Great Dooku Tree, he needs you. Get to me now, Wyatt. Noticing there were words in all caps. It didn't take long before it telling me to figure out. Oh, that bit is that? No, that is the end quotation. I was reading the fucking your stage direction there.
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't.
It ends in "Get Out Wyatt." That's where it ends.
Okay,
Although, is there parentheses until that part?
Yeah. Look.
Right. Okay.
so Jacob, two things. Keep in all this.
Yeah,
Second of all,
naturally.
edit in the Great Dooku Tree, so he's got a big white beard and a lightsaber with a little crook at the end.
I'm almost certainly not going to do that, but I probably will put the word Duke. I'll probably just write Dooku Tree across the screen.
If I would
Fuck you.
the Great Dooku Tree.
What come? Oh.
Wait,
I
wait.
see.
Does he
Taking
get
the
killed?
piss again. Out of
Yes,
way I
the Great
fucking
Dooku.
pronounce things. So Wyatt, get me now, Wyatt. Noticing how there were words in all caps, it didn't take me long before it was telling me to leave now before he get Wyatt.
Before you get Wyatt.
And that was the end of parentheses.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think it's
it
hilarious
should
here
have-
the fucking speech marks just continue. Like it goes, Wyatt, it should be end fucking quotations, but it's not end quotations. It's just noticing that. Just double check your work. It's not hard to just read through it again. And look
Jacob,
for
that is the
mistakes.
hardest thing to do. You expect me to rewrite this story and then read it as well? Fuck off, mate. All creepypasta writers ever.
I ran out and the cutscene played where Saria gives you the fairy ocarina. Instead, the only thing she gave me was
The clap.
Also, I've been pronouncing Deku Dooku since a kid, so this is news.
that's amazing.
Fuck you all.
Alright, Duke.
The Great Dookie Tree.
Now I see, because fucking Count Dooku. Oh my god, what an idiot.
Who looks at D-E-K and goes Duke?
My brain does this sometimes. It sees words and it's like, yeah, that's the pronunciation.
It's called
just fucking go
stupidity.
for it. Full force, just do it, boys.
I
Just
call
fucking do it.
that not reading.
I'm the dyslexic one.
Shut the
You know,
fuck up.
it's a real
Shut the
shame
fuck
that, you know, like,
up.
after you beat the boss in the tree, and, like, you talk to good, and then
Yes, but the game doesn't have
Get
voice
enough there!
acting.
And he's like, do it!
My fucking rebuttal to all of this is the game doesn't have fucking voice acting. There's nowhere
Yeah,
in the game it
therefore you
tells
Yeah, but it has the English language written in
I
it!
know it doesn't
Therefore-
have an O in it.
therefore you have
I
to read.
know it doesn't have an O in it.
So, the fact that
I don't know.
the fact
What am I
that-
going to say?
the fact there's no voice acting is even less of an excuse because it's written in fucking plain words.
Motherfucker,
D-E-K-U.
I was like, I love you guys.
Dookie.
I love this show.
Dookie.
Really brings out the best in me. All my best qualities, all on.
So
on
what's Green
display.
Day's album called? Right. Da 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 da.
James just wanna fight?
The wrong-
Final Fantasy.
That's the wrong franchise. Gemma.
I know.
That's usually Toby's gimmick.
Can you sing a bit of Mario for me? Okay, yeah, sure. What's
What's great is I don't even know what that is. If he's doing.
Chemical Plant Song, you prick.
What?
Oh, fuck off. Go back and listen to that.
I'm gonna subvert everyone's expectations. Here I go!
Fuck you all. Oh my god. That sounded like Chemical Plant Song. I don't fucking care. Oh, fuck. Why would I do this to myself? Yeah.
Instead, the only thing she gave me was a blank and almost terrifying stare. The rest of the animation played.
Wait, almost terrifying stare. No, that's actually fine. No.
It's like when you're watching a horror movie or like ghost sighting videos and you see something that's not the spooky ghost. So for a moment, it's almost terrifying. It's like, oh shit, there's someone in the corridor. Actually, though, that's just like that's just a bad piece of staging where there's something hanging up in the background they didn't move for the shot.
And then they're like, was this a real haunting or was this all an elaborate hoax?
Okay, before we continue with the story, we need to talk about Nuke's top 5 and their use of the word elaborate. Okay, because every video there'll be like an obvious piece of string, like opening a cupboard, like something you could easily do that would take 5 seconds. Like, is this a real ghost caught on camera, or just an elaborate hoax?
And then
You decide. And I'm like, what do you think elaborate means?
the rest of the animation played, and I was outside the forest. Thinking this was over was a huge mistake. I walked through the Hylian fields and made it to the castle, but the drawbridge was broken.
You know, I've got to say, before we go on, this game might be super spooky and not working properly, but it does have one benefit if you don't have to listen to that fucking owl.
I know.
Oh God, right?
Did you get? Do you want me to repeat all this? Like,
You literally intentionally
skip,
tricks you
skip.
every
Do you want
time you fucking speak to him. Just,
Hello,
like, to make
it's
sure.
I, Kebara Gebara.
He always like words it differently as well. It's like,
Yeah.
It's like, but the drawbridge was broken, as if you were adult Link. I jumped the broken river.
The river was broken. It was flowing up.
I jumped the broken river and ran to the town.
broken
River. That's a fucking band name if I ever heard.
I wi-
Aye, that was the name of my debut album. Bloody good album. Bloody good
album.
I hear Bono played guitar.
Okay, Redeads, alongside Ganondorf, were attacking the townspeople. I tried to attack, but then was trampled by Ganondorf. The death screen showed with Saria facing the other way.
Why?
That was the last thing that was said by Saria before her face showed on
It's
the
not
screen.
about how many lines you have, it's about how you deliver it.
Exactly. Her eyes were black, and there was a trickle of blood coming from them.
That's 2 drinks.
I know. I was kicked by into this. What?
Huh?
I was kicked by into the save
Who
screen,
gives a shit at this point?
and that's when it became even more weird.
Uh-huh.
The once bright and blue sky turned to a black and ominous one. My save was replaced by one that simply read, "Hi there." But I did read that as "hit here," so
I'm sorry, that has been done to the point of fucking death at this point, where your game boots you out and you come back in and it's a different name to what you put in the fucking...
scared.
Toby, are you surprised by the uncreativity of a creepypasta?
This was so close to the end. Come on.
Yeah, scared shitless. I decided to turn off my console, but before I could, the save started itself up. Link was in the Goron tunic.
You can still turn it off. Like, it's literally one, but I have one right in front of me here. It's
a little
one
switch.
little switch.
and was
It's not hard or heavy.
and was in a room.
Well, no, not a room.
The floor was black, and the walls and the ceiling were glass.
And they were made of skeletons.
And as I walked up to one of the walls, I could see that it was above ground.
Okay.
I missed my opportunity. I was trying to brew up a joke about the glass ceiling,
I was thinking of the same
and
thing.
it just passed me by.
I just like the glass ceiling.
Yeah, I could have broken the grass ceiling. Well done, Jacob. Just fucking keep hitting them home runs.
Put your grasses on.
Time to Hyrule, everyone! What a humdinger this has been!
I checked my inventory for anything to get me out of here. The
Okay.
only thing I had was the note from Zelda.
What's a gun?
So that to get me out of here.
Instead, I could read this time. Wait, instead I could read it this time. The only thing it said was, "See." I looked out the window to see the pit that was underneath Ganondorf's castle, and what was there filled me with dread. I could see a young Zelda, Epona, Maron, and Mido. Others were in there too, but those were the only ones that had a name.
There's other ones that are unimportant, but Mido.
They were all doing a very real death animations.
I would love to see that on the N64 graphics.
Yeah.
I would fucking love to see a realistic death animation.
And letting out faint but very
Please.
dreadful cries. As I witnessed each and every one of them die, I began to cry.
I began to die.
Because I'm a giant pussy.
Just as I did, a text box appeared saying,
Are you weeping? What do you care? You cast us aside like we were nothing to you. I liked you, Ellipses. I thought you would never stop playing with us, Ellipses. This is exactly like fucking Pokemon Dead Channel. Well, it looks like I were wrong about that.
I continued to cry, and more text boxes appeared, with each one asking why I was crying. Finally, the last text box appeared saying,
I have had my fun with you. Watching you be miserable is the only thing I can't stand, so I will let you go. That doesn't suit Jimmy Savile at all, does it? This is all getting cut.
Then the same eerie-faced Saria showed up and said one last thing. Goodbye!
Goodbye.
The floor to the room opened and Link died. I was kicked back to the save menu, but was unable to make a new file. I opened the cartridge to find out that the whole thing was rusted. I sat down and thought all about...
What was he expecting to find? When he, like, fucking took a drill, presumably, and, like, pulled out the screws and he took the cartridge...
He's like, my God, all the bees are dead!
No!
I ate all your bees! I sat down.
All the bees are dead.
I sat down.
Sorry, that was really fucking cool, man. That's hilarious.
How long the image is taken to get to Tubing.
I sat down and thought all about my other games. I checked them and they were fine.
So what he's saying is, the denizens of Hyrule really fucking overreacted.
Yeah, like
him not playing with
yeah.
them
So
anymore.
it turns out, like Hyruleans, needy fucks.
Yeah.
Well, thing
Like,
is, as well,
you can't get any space for them. They're so clingy.
I tried again a few weeks ago and was able to open a new file, or make a new file. This time Link looked sad and was in an empty room.
He took the cartridge apart.
Yeah, and he can only walk...
He replaced the bees.
Stop it! Somebody's got over it!
Couple live ones in there. It's like, it's a quality game, but you put the cartridge next to your ear. You can hear the buzzing.
Make sure, check the honey level.
to take out the honeycomb cartridge.
Okay.
I'm just picturing, when they pull honeycombs out of hives, it's just Nintendo 64 cartridges.
That's why they're more
Sliding
expensive.
them out, it's like gooey fucking thing.
Fucking
That's why
put that in the fucking show.
N64
Put that picture in the show.
cartridges.
Fucking some beekeeper boots. Fucking boots.
Oh man, look, I wish so many companies have gone with discs, but for me the B method is just that is the future.
That's the fucking
All
cloud
natural,
gaming, fucking
made by bees.
Hive gaming.
I opened the cart. No, wait, that's how we've done that. I tried again a few weeks ago. I was able to make a new file. This time Link looked sad and was in an empty room. He could only walk around the room, and that was it. I turned off my N64, and I've never touched my Ocarina of Time since.
That sounds like another euphemism for penis.
But
I've
also-
never touched my Ocarina of Time
At the very least, it sounds like he's talking about an actual ocarina and not the game.
And I continue to have nightmares. The only thing I have learned from this is to never think it's over just because you've beaten it. You can always redo it. And you
Why
can
is that a thing
always
about
replace
masturbation
your
right at the end?
beats.
That's a
just like-
fucking masturbation cry. I'm sorry.
You can always redo it. Like, what? How
does
does
that-
that relate to the message of the story? Okay, there are no comments, and that one sucked. We'll wrap up our thoughts at the end because we've got just enough time for an extremely short one called Grandma's Ashes.
Yes, because I have prior engagements.
Grandma's house used to be filled with ordinary people. People like you and me. She died a week ago, leaving behind a legacy as one of the finest mediums in all the country. So she was
She's a fraud.
yeah, a charlatan. Okay.
She lived a long and happy life, tricking very sad people who wanted to know about their dead loved ones. She made so much money off the misery of others.
Yeah.
Bitch.
She even obstructed police investigations, and kids that possibly could have been rescued, they thought were just dead. So yeah.
Yeah.
She gave comfort and reassurance to all those who suffered the vulnerability of lost loved ones.
That's what she
By
asked.
lying.
Picking up the check every step of the way. Actually, by vulnerability of lost loved one.
Just the one.
Even though my parents never quite believed it, probably because they weren't stupid. As requested, Grandma was cremated, and her ashes settled in a colourful jar atop the windowsill in view of her beloved garden. Her video will, though, requested one last unsettling thing. that her ashes be put in an oil lamp and be used as a light. Oddly enough, we were obliged to this request. Oddly enough, we obliged to the request.
We all hated her.
Explicitly written in the will. You wouldn't think we would do it, but we did.
Yeah.
Well done. You're not cunts.
Yeah, we did like anything else in her fate. Like we all fought over the inheritance and just ignored her funeral. Like we say, cremated bonfire.
Yeah.
It was more like a flaming bin that you see hobos around.
It was more like what happens on the 5th of November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
She was the most hated person in
She
town.
also wasn't dead.
Yeah.
Basically, it wasn't. It was a mob.
Yeah.
It was mob justice. And there's the one that obstructed police investigations and got those kids killed with her fake psychic nonsense.
It's kind of like we did all the things.
It's just Nightmare on Elm Street.
She was just burned alive in a shed.
It was kind of like all the things that they kind of did to Rasputin all at once.
And that's why they when they obliged with the funeral request, she came back to haunt kids in their dreams.
Yes. Uh-huh.
But actually haunt the parents of those of missing kids and those who've lost loved one. Oddly enough, we obliged to this request, half expecting the ashes to smother the flame and render our lamp useless.
Just like the medium.
We gathered around the kitchen table. I poured the ashes into the oil beneath. A flame quipped up.
Wait, it said something. It was part of the Avengers.
Yeah, fucking Joss Whedon ass flame. A flame quipped up.
Am I hot or what?
Quite shockingly. They fly now. I know he didn't write that. That's always the first example I could think of with shitty Hollywood writing. Her ashes burned a flame that raided the room with the grotesque faces of the undead. First tens, then thousands. Yeah, she was actually in hell.
Yeah.
This is proof she went to hell for being a charlatan and preying on the vulnerable.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed a
line.
a sentence. Yeah. We took back everything we said about crazy old grandma. At that moment, her ashes burned to flame, blah blah blah, grotesque faces of the undead, first tens and thousands, swarming our home with their gaping mouths and their empty eyes, all approaching the pebble of a flame dancing on the tip of the oil lamp. Weeks on, the flame still burns, and we're afraid to put it out. I feel like putting it out would probably put a stop to all those horrible monsters. And there's no comments on that one. Alright, so let's give our thoughts on the two stories that we read. The Zelda one didn't make a fucking lick of sense, which seems to be a running theme with Zelda creepypastas lately.
It was just as you said, it was just like Pokemon Dead Channel again.
Yeah, the whole thing.
And also, I think it's like, what is up with these, like, I played a game, I really enjoyed it. I did everything. I put it down. Why did you leave us? We've become so needy and self-aware. Like, fuck you.
Yeah. He's like,
the only time that should happen is in an Animal Crossing where they're like, "Hey, we haven't seen you in like 5 years. We're wondering if you're all right."
Well, I imagine the one of
Sure.
is literally in. I feel like that would be less scary because that's in the game's code.
Exactly.
I imagine like whatever the first one would have, like Animal Crossing was the example. Something like spooky Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
And then Tom Nook was like, "Where were you?" And Mr. Rossetti was like, "Those fucking
Those fucking kids.
yeah." Well, you were gone.
The whole neighbourhood's gone.
You'll never guess what those people moved in next door.
Yeah. So the Zelda one was dumb.
Long and dumb, but we got a lot of jokes out of it, and we made up for making fun of Toby the chip time.
Right. I tell you, that really did crappy me out. That story.
With the Grandma's Ashes one, it's just mediocre. The problem with it didn't go anywhere. It's like, hey, psychics, oil, and faces. Like, I feel like you've got an idea here, but it's not complete. And you've written it as a story, even though it's not a complete idea in your head yet.
This is like a writing exercise in class.
Yeah.
Like, you know how you get those 2-sentence horror stories where, like, it's like, and there's...
Who was phone?
And, like, you know that one, it's like, you know, you're the last man on Earth and someone knocks on the door, right? Yeah. It's like they've elongated a because you could easily just go, my grandma died, she asked us to put her ashes in the flame, she was a medium, and then at the end all you have to do is like the weeks on the flame still burns and we're all
it's like 10 lines long.
Yeah.
That's it.
You don't need any of the
That's
stuff.
all you need.
Because but as it is at the moment, it feels like there is a larger story that is just incomplete in their mind. Having said that, it's not irredeemable.
But it's worth making fun of just for the mediums.
It's just kind of flat and not exciting.
No.
There's some all-right imagery in there, but there's no attempt to proofread, which is always a problem. It's the same with the Zelda one. But, person who wrote that, keep writing. I don't think that you're completely incompetent. You're probably capable of writing good stuff. The other story, on the other hand...
dog shit.
Yeah.
Stop.
Just I think maybe if you're going to write scary stories, maybe don't base them on video games because that rarely, if ever, works. Try something new. I would say.
Even after I think about 13 to maybe 14 years since Ben Drowned was written, Ben Drowned's not scary anymore.
No, and that's the thing. And
They're not built
Because
to
when it becomes popular,
they're not built to stand the test of time.
No,
Well,
certainly not.
Here's a bit of advice, just write a good story, else you'll end up on our show.